Today we're putting together this adorable little Hobbit tea set. Stay tuned to see how and why we're doing it. Greetings adventurers and welcome to Skill Tree, where we learn how to do just about everything. So as I've been mentioning the last few episodes, we're going to be going to the Brandywine Festival. This is a Hobbit themed LARP that's taking place in Kentucky in October. Like I said, we've talked about it. You can find out more here, or you can check out the link in the description below. But the fact that we're going has given us some really cool opportunities to connect with other content creators, which is just awesome. One such person that I'm really getting along with is Kiki from Incandescent Kiki. They make really great content, and honestly, have just been really fun to chat with, so I'm excited to have the opportunity to work with them. But while we were talking, we're like, hey, no, it'd be really fun if you make something for my character and I make something for your character and we send it. So that's what this episode is. I have no idea what they're making for my character, Tobias Briarcloak, and they have no idea what I'm making for their character, Fennel Fairborough. We just had like a moment of like, what is your character like? What are they into? Just as an FYI, Kiki's gift is here to me. I haven't opened it yet. Make sure you pop onto Kiki's channel to see what they made me. Link in the description below. I don't know what it is, but I hope it's clothing of some sort. I told them that that's my biggest worry, is having enough clothing to go to this thing. Well, I will say this was very hard for me because I don't do well with big overarching things. I get too many ideas and I get too excited about stuff. But some of the things that I latched onto was the fact that they do like hosting, they enjoy tea, they like snails and such, all of which my brain latched onto. So I decided we're gonna make them a LARP tea kit. With everything inside of it one needs to have like a tea party out in the field somewhere. So to get started, I just picked up this really cute little tea set here. It is just the perfect size, has kind of a rustic look to it. It feels hobbity enough to me, but it gives me a conundrum because it's like it's a delicate little tea set and I feel like I'm gonna break it. I'm bad at stuff like that. But moreover, it has to be something that needs to travel for LARPs. If you're going to be out in the field somewhere using it, it has to be in something that's robust enough to protect this tea set. Somehow everything needs to be held down so it's not flying all over the place. Got a lot to figure out. I also learned, which I didn't know before, but those little porcelain teapots or whatever, like, you can't heat the water right in it. You pour hot water into it with the tea, and that's how you make the tea. Which left me with another problem, because I want you to be able to do it all in field. So I picked up this nifty little camping pot here that folds up nice and small and is super light. And as a bonus, the teapot fits right on top of it, which gives me my footprint for this project. That is the tightest I can make everything together while still making it kind of a display piece, which is important. So I have 3 goals with this thing. It has to be strong, it has to withstand kind of the travel and everything, it has to be functional, do the thing I set out for it to do, but it also has to be pretty, right? It has to be attractive. It's really easy to get 2 corners of this triangle together. It's real hard to pull off all 3 at once. But I'm gonna try my damnedest and you can tell me if I pulled it off. All right, so we have this pot that can heat up the water. Now I need a way to heat up the water. I know there's gonna be campfires around or something, but again, if you're out in a field with your friends sitting by a tree, I don't need you to set up a whole campfire. I want something we can just get going with and it's contained in this kit. Luckily, I happen to have this old steel cup lying around. I usually use it to clean my paintbrushes and stuff, but it is perfect for this. Basically, I'm going to make like a little pocket stove, or what's usually called like a hobo stove, right? Something you can fill with a fuel that's easy to find out in the world, little twigs or whatever, and then cook right on it. So first things first, I measured this out so that I can make marks every quarter point around its circumference. Then I lined up my Dremel so the height would stay exact and slowly cut between those lines, leaving just about 1/8 of an inch left over. The thought here is to take these little pieces of metal and push them in to form a place for the pot to sit on so it doesn't like close out the fire. I'd love to say this was my idea. I saw it in a video a while back. I have no idea where though. I tried looking it up again, but if you find it, leave it in the comments. I'll pin it to the top. I want to make sure they get credit for that one. Though I did find that metal at first was very springy. It would hold its shape and then you'd be doing stuff and it would pop back out. I was afraid it was gonna cut Kiki's fingers off or something. So I did the safe thing. I hit it with a torch to anneal that metal and take away that springiness before I pinched those corners in and made sure they stayed put. Now I have this nice little platform for my pot to sit on. After that, I just cut this little opening in the front so it's easy to load it with twigs and sticks and stuff, and plenty of air can still get into it. From here, we just light it up, and in about 10 minutes, this thing started to actually boil, which I love. I was afraid it was going to take longer than that, but that is an acceptable amount of time to watch a pot boil, I guess. Okay, we have pot of water, we have fire, we have the tea kit. Let's start putting this whole thing together. First things first, I measured out exactly what that footprint would be, trying to keep it as tight as possible. So everything has to stay put, right? There's a lot of fragile things inside of there. We don't need it all flying around. So starting with the pot, I figured we can wrap it with some leather so we can give that thing a bottom and actually attach it to something. To do this, I just took a strip of leather that was a little taller than the pot and did a simple baseball stitch to connect the ends together, giving me a nice little container for this pot and a good stand for my teapot to sit on. Next, I cut out a circle of around 12-ounce leather for the bottom, which will help me secure it to the rest of the piece. I just went ahead and punched some holes in it so I had a place to go through later on to put those attachment points in. Then I hit the whole thing with some barge cement and carefully put it into place. Once that's locked in, I went around the whole circumference of it with these little pin nails. I don't think it's going to undergo a lot of stress, but if it does, it gets pulled around or whatever, I don't trust the glue to hold it all by itself. Speaking of cups, my next little issue here, it's a silly issue. These little cups, they don't look hobbity enough to me as is. They're cute as hell, but the little handle, I feel like it needs to be a little handle on it. Not only that, but when you're sipping tea and it gets hot, I just wanted something for you to hold. I figured the easiest way around this though was to go ahead and wrap this with a strip of leather, which will also act as a handle. I just took this strip and put a hole in the end of it, connecting the two ends together with an eyelet. Now we got this cute ass little handle that is not only removable, but you could always use that eyelet to hang it up places. You can tie them together if you're afraid it's gonna move around in shipping. It just gives us a lot more options, and you can still remove it in case you gotta clean the cup. Now all that is well and good, but I had to figure out a way to hold those down because they don't have the same type of thing that the pot has, right? There's no connection points directly to the ground that I can have them stay stuck. At first I was thinking of nesting them or maybe hanging them up, but I didn't want to do that many straps and stuff for you to have to fiddle with. And then I came up with probably the idea I'm most proud of for this whole thing. I figured we can make little cups that fit very tightly inside of those cups. We then will have storage space with which we can hold tea or little vials of honey or whatever you want for inside of your tea. But not only is the tension of the teacup on it going to hold the teacup in place, but also the suction, if we make it tight enough, it'll have to pull in that empty space. I think that'll hold them secure. So to make this, I just use these nifty little calipers here to figure out the inside diameter of my cups. Then took a strip of leather, wrapped it around so that the circumference was the same, and cut that to size so I can test it on the inside of the cup. It had to fit snugly with the very butt ends of it touching together. Happy with that, I then measured the inside of that little tube so that I can make the bottom for these things. The rest of it I do just like the big one I did for the pot. This time just gluing up the edges first so it would hold its shape while I sewed it, and then using the same baseball stitch to keep everything together. And now these cups will basically sit like so, with the cup wedged right on top of it. You could also see I cut the footprint of what the base of this thing is going to be out of some plywood. And I love that. I love the footprint, I love the layout, I like the little cups. I really love this thing, it's cool. And to hold that teapot onto the thing, I just made this little strip here with holes and strips strategically cut out to lock that teapot right in place. Now, when I was imagining this at first in my head, I thought it was gonna be kind of like a simple regular bag, kind of square, flip top or whatever. But then I realized two things. One, this is for a Hobbit LARP, and Hobbit theming would be awesome. But then two, one of the things this particular character enjoys are snails, and I love that. I think that's awesome. But what do snails do? They carry their homes with them where they go. I thought there was some nice poetic synergy there, right? So I was gonna make this thing look like a little hobbit house, like a smile they are called. I've learned that recently, by the way. I should have known that already, but a smile. And then do some snail theming to it as well, so it all kind of pulls together that way in my head. You're bringing a little bit of home with you while you entertain. So in order to get that kind of rounded shape of a little hobbit house, I just went ahead and grabbed some foam and just made that shape, measuring out where the top of that arch would be. So with that, I know what the footprint of the thing is. I know how high up until that little spout gets in the way. I wouldn't want to arch all the way from the bottom because it'll hit. So I figured I'd add little straight walls and then an arch to the top of that, kind of where that peak would be. So armed with that information, I took to Adobe Illustrator to kind of lay this whole thing out. I did it here because I'm going to be using my laser. I know, a lot of you get upset when I end up using the laser for projects because you want to be able to do it yourself. You can totally cut this out yourself with like a coping saw or something if you wanted to, but time is of the issue for me and I did not have the time to do that. Tell me this thing isn't cute as hell. Look at these little arches here. I figured I can double them up and glue them together for extra strength. And these are going a long way for the stability and prettiness part of my little trifecta here. The thought is that arch, it's one of the strongest shapes we can use in building, so it's gonna do a lot to help it from being crushed or moved around too much. But also, if you look at it from the inside, you're gonna see these arches like the roof of a house, right? It's gonna have these cool little arches. I want it to feel like when you look inside of there that you're looking inside of a cozy little home. I think this pulls off both. I love that. And for the very back wall of it, I just cut out what the shape of that wall would be with a matching arch. So those arches, though, they have to stand on something. They have to stand on the side walls. So all I did was cut out these squares the dimension I needed with little cutouts that are just big enough to fit those arches inside of them. The wood I'm using here, by the way, is cabinet grade 1/8" plywood. It's just really, really clean looking and nice and strong. But also, most importantly, very light. I need this thing to be light. So if this is front and this is back, that'll help lock the top in on this axis, while those little bird mouths that are on the ends of those arches are gonna help lock it in on this axis, hopefully making everything really strong. Still at this point, 100% theoretical, so I put it all together just to make sure it even fit. And oh my God, look at how friggin' cute this thing is. I was genuinely super excited about that. It looks so cool all put together. Honestly, I kind of wish if this was just like a table setting or something and it wasn't going to go out into the field, it'd be nice to just leave it open like that. I love the way those little arches look. I might use that for other things later on. That's cool. Okay, with that done, the last piece I needed to kind of finish that box was the front of it. This one I just cut so it would land below the arch, and I painted the very middle of it green. Then again, on Illustrator, I designed the circle that would kind of go in the middle of that door, and I put in this wood grain to make it look more like a real door. And the whole ring around it came out super pretty. I love how that whole thing is coming out. Now that whole front is eventually going to be where it opens. I want that to swing down and become like a tray where you can actually have your tea and stuff, like if it's between the two of you, right? Though, as I said before, I did also want to kind of tie in that snail theme to it. So I made this little piece of art right here, and then laser engraved it onto the back. Which one I think fills in that space really good, and again, I just think it's really cute. I'm gonna leave a lot of this kind of bare wood because I want to give Kiki the option of painting it. I think that's fun too, right? Part of the project is they get to then add their own touch to it. Though after sanding away all the laser burnness from the edges, I did decide to paint those arches brown, as well as the circle around the door. I don't want the whole thing to just be a bare wood project. I want it to look cute as it is, but then give the option for embellishment. I even added this little tack to the door, so it looked like a little doorknob. At this point, I think I'm just having fun with it. It's like building a model house. It's a lot of fun. Okay, so next I wanted to close off this whole thing by adding a roof to it. For that, I'm just using more of that 12-ounce leather I had, which is helpfully already arched perfectly because it was in a little roll. So I thought about using a thinner leather because, again, I want this thing to be really light. But the leather top, or whatever I would use for the top, is going to be part of the structure that holds everything square. Right now, although I do feel like it'll be pretty secure, I think a good like corner hit or something could rack the whole thing. This makes kind of this big superstructure over everything that everything's gonna lock into. So if you try to push against it, you have to push against all the connection points that are going through this thick piece of leather. I thought the trade-off of weight would be worth it. It wouldn't be that much more, it's leather. Though another concern was if I put like a handle directly onto the top of that leather, all the weight is constantly pulling against the glue up or nails or however I do it. I'd rather distribute that kind of closer towards the base of the thing. So I figured instead I just wrap this strip of leather around the whole thing and put all my connection points on there. Just so it wasn't pushing against the edges of the leather though, I marked where it would land and then cut out little squares on either side so that it snugly fit right into it. Then I just did edge treatment on all of my leather, and made some little holders for D-rings and stuff so that you'd have different connection points. The thought is to make like a handle for easy carrying, but also a place where if you wanted to, you could put a strap on it and just kind of carry it on your side. Okay, from here we have all of the building components. It's time to make them look good before we put it all together. Starting with the leather, I just hit that top piece with some nice Kelly green, and then all of the rest of it with a light brown. You know, those nice hobbity earthy tones we're going for. Also, I thought the green top looked like it's a hill, right? Because they're in the hill. I thought it was cute. While the dye dried, I hit all of the wood with shellac. That's gonna help keep it safe from the elements, but it's also like non-toxic and all that. To also protect the leather, I hit everything with a resist as well. Then it was time for assembly. Starting with the door, I just put some wood glue on the back of that ring and carefully positioned it, clamping it into place while it cured. Then I glued up the sides of the base, and then knocking in some pin nails to make sure it didn't move around on me and it stayed nice and tight. I also clamped this together to give it the best chance possible for that glue to bond. I am hell-bent on this thing being as strong as possible. I want to be able to stand on it. I'm not going to, but I want to be able to, if possible. Don't though. Please don't stand on this thing if you see it. Now, if you've ever put together a cabinet or anything, there's a real possibility that it looks straight on the bottom, but it's actually racked a little bit. So to help make sure that wasn't happening, I also glued up and installed that center arc to act as a brace and help even all that out. And once it was cured, I was very happy with it. It looks good, it's nice and square, and it's already feeling nice and strong. So then I just continued gluing that back into place, locking it in with some nails too, followed by the rest of the arcs. Just as an FYI, I didn't catch it on camera, but like the little bird's mouth on those arcs, it overlaps the wood just enough that I could drive a little screw through there to help hold that together as well. But yeah, this little sucker is so strong. So we can check that part of our triangle off already. It is strong, I'm happy with that. Now to get our roof on, I wanted to give a good connection point for glue, so I went in and sanded them down just to remove any of the paint on the top of it. Then I just added wood glue to it and positioned it in place, knocking nails down into it to help hold everything together. I also kind of like that pin nail look it gives it. I don't know, I think it's just kind of cool looking. This, by the way, is the first time I've ever used wood glue with leather. I actually think I like it better than using like a barge cement or something. It seems to hold better, honestly. It takes a lot longer, but I feel like it's holding a lot better. Cool, so since we have that roof in place, it's time to put the strap in. To put that strap together, all I really did was attach those D-ring connection points to either side of it, and then just locked in another strip right on top using some rivets. This is super simple, but it's gonna give me a nice little handle to hold on to. And to connect it, I actually decided to use these little screws with a washer on it. The washer is gonna stop it from pulling through the leather eventually, but I thought using all of those screws are gonna help to spread out that force a lot, so that weight is now being held by all those screws along that entire wall, which is connected to the floor. I felt like that was a lot safer than trying to connect it right to the roof or just like one connection point somewhere in there. Not only that, but look at it. I like the look of that. I think that's cool. It feels functional. There's plenty of places to hold it if you need to. And it was simple because at this point, I think when I filmed that, it was like 2 a.m. I got really lost on this project, guys. Okay, so for the front of it, remember that has to open. And at first I was gonna use hinges, but I kind of like the look of leather like this. They're just strips that I cut so they went around the frame of the door, and I connected them with screws as well. And then I just glued them to the bottom and put in these upholstery tack, which not only are gonna help hold that in place, but now it also has little feet to stand on, so it's not always just kind of in the dirt or wherever you are. Not only does this look really good, but look at that. It functions perfectly. It's a little door. This is one of those projects for me. I think the combination of like free range to do whatever I want and also wild imposter syndrome. I was worried I would send something out and it wouldn't be good enough. So I really stretched myself to make something as good as I possibly could make it. And I feel like this is very much that. It's a thing where I stand back, I'm like, I couldn't have made that. That's pretty cool. Proud of this one. This is a good one. Finally, to keep that door closed, I just put in these Sam Brown buttons right in the corner, and then simply put some leather cordage with these toggles on the end that have a button hole in them. This threads under that strap you use to carry, but it makes it so that you can put it in place and tighten it down as much as possible, and then just kind of loosen it back up when you're ready to open it again. I thought this not only looked the part, but it's a good way to kind of make it as tight as you want to, so it's really closed. And that is the outside of this thing done. Look at how cute this thing is. Oh my God, I love it so much. I'm excited to see how Kiki reacts to it, but I'm not gonna lie. there's a part of me that was like, I must keep it. This is mine. Join my treasures in the back here. It's coming out pretty, which is the other leg of my little stool there. I'm mixing metaphors, but I've got it strong, I've got it pretty. Now it's time to make it functional. So the way I see this working is the pots and the cups and everything have to be on a little tray that slides in, so you can kind of slide the whole thing out, do what you need to do, and then slide it away when you're done. To make sure that thing doesn't flop around, I just installed these kind of little rails here, simply gluing them into place. This is just far enough to accept some more of this plywood that I cut to be this nifty tray shape. With it, it slides in cleanly, but it stays pretty snug. Before attaching all the leather bits, I went ahead and attached the strap to that pot holder area there, as well as a little buckle assembly, locking that teapot super securely in place. Okay, so you remember earlier when I put holes in the bottom of all those little leather cups there? This is where that comes in handy. I place them where they'll go and mark where those holes are. Then I simply drill through them, and I actually put some leather rivets through those holes. With those in place, it was really easy to lock everything down and keep it really secure to that board. And that is important because these little cups fit so snugly onto there, and that vacuum that seals them in place is so strong that you gotta give it a good pull to get them free. I love this. We can hang the whole thing upside down and shake it around. These things don't go anywhere. Though, Kiki, if you get it, if it's too tight for you, you can actually just drill little holes inside of those leather cups on the very back of it, and every one of those holes is gonna reduce the vacuum, which makes it easier to take it off. With this in place, I strapped it all down and did another test, holding it upside down and making sure it was secure. Guys, it didn't move at all. I'm very proud, kind of winging it, that this worked as well as it worked. Not only that, but it slides right into place. Everything fits perfectly. I even did another test while it was closed up to make sure that didn't move around. This thing isn't going anywhere. All the walls are snug enough that it doesn't jostle around back and forth or left and right. Those little rails stop it from going down. Everything holding them in place. It's all just happens to be working well. This isn't skill. I promise this one is luck. I just was winging it. And look at it. Look at how damn cute this thing is. Oh my God, I love it so much. So this is how it works in action. I need you to cast your mind with me somewhere. We're out in the Shire. We're in a field somewhere and we want to stop for afternoon tea. What do? Well, we plop this little sucker down, open it up, and slide out our little tea set here. We free up our teapot, the pot, the little burner, and set that off to the side to heat up the water. Then we remove one of our teacups, exposing some nice loose leaf tea inside. We simply put that into our pot and then pour in this freshly boiled water. And while that seeps, we simply put our tray away, done with all of that for now, and set up our little place at the table for a delightful afternoon tea. This came out great. I really can't wait to see how Kiki reacts to it. I'm really excited about it. Now, I think it's pretty obvious. I'm really happy with how this thing came out. It was a good stretch from my brain. It was hard to do. I laid it out on all the steps, but it took a lot of figuring out. But I'd love to know what you thought of it. Leave down in the comment section below if you'd change things, what things you'd add, how I could have done some things differently. I'd love to hear your point of view. So real quick, the thing that we're putting this together for, the Brandywine Festival, it's being put on by Bergschneider. If you don't know who Bergschneider is, not only do they hold the largest LARP events in the world, but they're also a supplier of fine medieval gear. So if you're looking for a kit to go to this LARP or any other LARP, or honestly, you just like walking around in armor on a Saturday, in which case, we need to hang out more. That's pretty cool. Anyways, we're an affiliate with them, so we have a standing 15% discount. So if you're doing your shopping for events anyways, why don't you click on the link in the description below and use Skilltree15 at checkout to get your 15% off. Not only will you get your gear cheaper, but it helps out the channel too, and we appreciate it. Real quick though, if you are interested in going to the Brandywine Festival with us, make sure you check out the Kickstarter. It's in the description below because it's ending really soon, and that's the only way to get tickets. All right, let's go hear what Kiki has to say. All right, I'm desperate for you to open this. I'm desperate for you to open this package.
Okay, I'm gonna open mine now. I'm really excited. When I opened the door when it was delivered, I was like, oh, that's a box right there.
Oh, it looks all in one piece. Huzzah.
I'm dead. This is so cute. Wow. Is this the front?
That's the front. Yeah.
That's the front? Okay.
So the little toggles on the side with the Sam Brown buttons there, you can pull those off. I made it real tight so that it wouldn't fly open during shipping, but you can make it looser too.
I love how
I also put a bunch of paper in it.
It's opening on its own.
Yeah. Remove the paper.
Oh my gosh. Guys, I'm dead. This is so cute.
Pull it right on up. And you can put loose leaf teas and stuff in there or whatever else you want to put,
So
like tea bags. And then
Oh my
underneath the
gosh.
teapot, there's a buckle to remove the teapot. There is
Okay.
a pot for boiling and a tiny pocket stove. So you can have a whole tea party just out and about on this like your table now.
That's
out
so
in the-
cute. Oh my gosh. And they're like little handles.
Like you can take them off too. Like they slide right off if you need to.
Oh really? That's so cool. This is
Yeah.
so cute. Oh my gosh. I love this so much. I
Oh, good. I'm glad.
literally was looking at like a camping like tea setup today. I was like trying to figure out like how am I gonna bring a teapot and how am I gonna get the water hot. Did
That's the part
you
that's
read
difficult.
my mind? This is crazy. I love that you did the green on the top like grass kind of. It looks like a little hobbit house.
I was feeling the vibe. I'm like, well, she likes the snails, and then snails carry their home on their back.
It's
So like you have your little house with you.
so cute. I'm obsessed. Is this for like straps?
You can add a strap to it. I just didn't have a strap.
That
I didn't
is-
have enough leather.
I have a strap. That's cute.
Yeah.
I am obsessed with this. I can't believe you made this. It looks like a movie prop. You're a
glad you like
genius.
Genuinely
Thank you
glad you
so
like it.
much.
Good.
I'm literally going to be staring at this for probably the next couple weeks, months. And I'm probably going to try it out because I'm really excited about it.
You made it to the end screen. YouTube loves it when you do that, and it is a fantastic way to support this channel. Another fantastic way to support this channel is by joining these people's noble ranks. These are our Patreon members, and we can't do this without them. They are the tea to our biscuits, the sausage in our second breakfast, and I don't know half of them as well as I should like, and like less than half of them half as well as they deserve. I promise if you work it out, it's a compliment. Special shout out to our Grandmaster tier Patreon, Just a Guy from the Southwest, Wild Fox 99, Froggy, Dragon Designs, and Yuri Satro. If you like what we do here and want to support our ways, consider joining our Patreon, link in the description below. Otherwise, you can click on one of these videos that YouTube thinks you'd like, and that honestly helps a lot too. And hopefully, I see you all at the Shire.